What's up, everybody? It's Soren Baker.
Amir, Rahimi.
And today on The Great Debaters, getting into one of Gangster Rap's greatest artists, Xzibit. All right, everybody, so we're back here on The Great Debaters. Soren Baker.
Amir, Rahimi.
Now, today, guys, we're getting into this Xzibit gas chamber, kicked Xzibit off. But before we get to that, of course, hit us down there, subscribe, like our channel, do whatever you can to help support Unique Access, get us out there because we're growing and we're trying to get to that #1 level of the game. Y'all, we really support it. And of course, right next to subscribe is join. You can support us that way monthly for some low fees that just help us take care of ourselves and the rest of the staff here at Unique Access. So please, if you could, like our content, subscribe, share, talk about it, join, whatever. And we appreciate it. So Amir, today with Gas Chamber, man, this is the intro to Xzibit. And it really sets a stage, I think, for the avalanche material not only we get from Xzibit, but from the general Sacramento area because of the success that Gas Chamber has. So what were your first memories, exposures getting into this album?
Xzibit's one of those people that it took me a while to actually buy his discography. There's a few reasons for that. One was because there's just was so much to listen to, number one, and the first exposure I had to him was through Tupac. I believe on the All Eyes on Me album was where I first heard him. So obviously Tupac had his Northern California connections, and he always put on when he could for them. So that's where I first heard Xzibit, and then I was like, oh, sounds dope. Let me check him out. And then the main reason why I didn't get his stuff so soon is because a lot of it, particularly this album, is very hard to find. And it gets pretty expensive, especially the copy Soren has in his hand. That original pressing is much harder to find than this West Coast Mafia Records pressing. So I like to get the original stuff. So anyways, it gets tough. So then when I did listen to it, I was like, okay, well, this is the birth of a very lengthy discography because he has albums on albums, tons of releases. So my first pick is going to be Black 6'4". That's the intro track. When I first heard this song, I was like, well, this is a good way to start an album because I think the beat is like simplistic but also kind of menacing. Xzibit is really just is very laid back in his sinister ways. I feel like he makes it sound so easy, Black 6'4", blah blah whatever. But then he mentions his own track on the song because he says "bumpin' realer than real," and I was like, I don't know if that's a song from some group prior to Xzibit, but then I look at track 3 and he has a track called Realer Than Real, and it's funny because I've seen some artists do this in the past where they reference songs on their albums, but this song on the album is after the song that they mention it first.
One of my favorites of that is Push It Along from Tribe Called Quest, where Phife references Ham and Eggs, which is a very weird one because it's so much later in the album, and when I heard Push It Along, I hadn't heard Ham and Eggs yet. So I was like, what is Phife referring to? But then you later see it, and then later I was like, oh, that was released on vinyl before, which I wasn't aware of at the time. So
yeah, there's a lot of weird instances like that in rap, and we definitely cover them in a few videos, just I'm not remembering. But Black 6'4", I think, is a good intro to see like what Xzibit's about. I love the beat. It's very, very in pocket with what Xzibit does throughout the album. And then also, interestingly enough, I remember like LeBron James is obviously not only popular for his basketball, but a lot of people know that he's like a music aficionado and he plays stuff, and he was playing this in one of his stories or posts, and I was like, Xzibit, really? So that was pretty dope to know, like LeBron James even was listening to Xzibit. So man, this song is definitely one of my picks. Really good, strong intro in my opinion.
I agree. That's probably my number 4 pick because it's a great song and it really does set the stage. But I'm going with the one, to me, that really sets the stage, and that's the title track, Gas Chamber, because there he's talking about AWOL, which was the mob he had back in the day, the label and stuff that he was on. And I think that it kind of gives you the overview of the onslaught of everything that Sibo is about to bring to the table. He's talking about Garden Block, the sickness that he has, Ski Mask. So with Gas Chamber, the song, he's really, I think, that to me really explains it, because Black 6'4" is a good, I think, story itself. But I looked at Gas Chamber as kind of a summary overview. And this is something Amir and I have talked about, that someone like Ice Cube does that to me at the beginning of America's Most Wanted and Death Certificate, where he kind of starts it off with a kind of a review and an overview of what's been going on with him and then what he's about to talk about. And I thought Gas Chamber, even though it was the second song on Gas Chamber, the album, that's kind of the vibe I felt. And I just thought it set the album and set off Sibo overall, kind of a thesis statement of sorts. So that's my first pick. What do you want to add on the song Gas Chamber?
I remember Gas Chamber, that beat, I was definitely intrigued by how it went from Black 6'4" to Gas Chamber. I thought they were quite different.
Yes.
Definitely. And I also do really like that song as well. That's probably in my top 5. But I just remember going from Black 6'4" to Gas Chamber. I was like, I was not expecting that production to follow. But dope track. My second track is going to go right to what he's known as, and that would be the Bald Head Nut. And Sibo, as you can hear throughout the album, he is a nut, that's for sure. He's a little crazy, and I've heard stories from people how crazy he can get. But yeah, man, dude, Bald Head Nut. So this is another thing too. It's like Sibo doesn't really care to put a chorus on all of his songs, which is cool. And Sibo just to go straight through is like really, 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 really dope in my opinion. One thing so I think as far as his rhymes, this might be my actual favorite rhymes from him on the album, just in terms of just how hard he's going, to be honest with you. But one thing that was interesting to me is I saw the name Bald Head Nut, and I know he's referred to as the Bald Head Nut, but I never knew why he was referred to as the Bald Head Nut on this album, because you clearly see he has hair. So I know there's got to be some story to that, and I can only assume Soren might be able to shed light if he knows.
In fact, I can, but you should click the link right up there, because Sibo and I interviewed Sibo for Unique Access, of course, and there's the link right up there. You can check it out where I ask him about that, and we talk about it in detail, because, you know, I've known Sibo since the 90s. I got him all in my book, The History of Gangster Rap, as I should, and as he should and deserves to be. So, yes, check out that interview with Sibo and pick up The History of Gangster Rap so you can read about how he fits into the bigger picture of the game. Anything else you want to add on Bald Head Nut?
Dude, with Bald Head Nut, I mean, that song, when I want to listen to, like, his, like, hardest rhymes on the album, that's a song I'm probably going to. Really, 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 really good. And then, yeah, I always... Because there's a line in the song where he says the only time someone gets to see the bald head is when a girl's on her back with her legs on my shoulder. He says something like that. And, like, is he talking about the bald head? Like, is he the Bald Head Nut? Or is he talking about that? It's probably just... He's using it twice, or he's just trying to mix it up, whatever it means. But I was like, no, he's definitely referring to himself as the Bald Head Nut. So I was like... trying to figure it out, but it looks like I got to check out the Soren interview. So that's my second pick.
Bald Head Nut's also one of my picks. Like you're saying, lyrically, the thing I liked about it is, like on here he says, take him to the hole like basketball. So it's kind of like he has, like, he's super street, super gangster, of course. That's who he is as a person, which is clearly reflected and he presents in his music. But also, I think that's a good example of showing kind of how he also at the same time has this braggadocio stuff, and it's kind of unorthodox imagery that you wouldn't necessarily always expect from someone that's such a gangster rapper per se. But Bald Head Nut, I think, really shows that. And as Amir is saying with Mike Mosley and Sam Bostic, the production on the album is varied, but I like the super thick funk that they have on Bald Head Nut. I think that worked really well. Not only with Sibo, but just kind of that muscular, hard-hitting, thick feel that a lot of Gas Chamber has, but then also this song in particular. So Bald Head Nut's a classic, and that's one of the ones that I know, the people that I do know that really like this album which is a select few that I talked to, but they, that's one of their favorite songs, and it's one of their favorite Sibo songs ever, and it is one of mine too, which is why it's one of my top 3 picks on Gas Chamber. So that's my second pick. Amir, what's your third pick on Gas Chambers?
Third pick on Gas Chamber, man. So obviously it's not Gas Chamber because I told you it's not, but that one is in the top 5. This one I'm probably gonna go with Play for G. And this one, it's tricky, I like it for just similar reasons of just Sibo just being like hard as hell, right? But also I really like the sample that we have on here. I really, really, really like when people sample Houdini's music.
Because it's great?
Because it's, number one, it's great, and we also got to talk, maybe in a future episode, we got to break down a Houdini album for sure. But Houdini, they're some of the unsung heroes in hip-hop because of, one, their music, but also how many people have sampled their songs. And I think that the way that it was done on here was also interesting, and it's different because Sibo's very gangster, and he's a very hard rapper, so it's interesting to see like someone like Sibo take on a Houdini track, whereas, some of us have heard Nas sample, MF Doom sample, etc. So that was always interesting to me. J.O. Felony, was that on Nitty Gritty?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so J.O. Felony, but anyways, I like how that sample works with the beat and then how he's going hard. So I kind of gave that the edge over some other songs, but I'm going to go Play for G as my last track.
That's one of my favorite beats on the album. Shout out to Houdini, of course. But for my third pick, I'm going to go with Liquor Store. And this is because, as Amir was saying and as we've discussed briefly today, some of these songs don't really have choruses. It's just a beat playing and then Sibo comes back. And with Liquor Store, I like the fact that there is a chorus, and it also sounded fun, even though it's like a super hood street story and kind of like, his, gangster's fairy tale, Once Upon a Time in the Projects, just the average everyday, today was a good day story in a sense. Not exactly, of course, but it's more just a street hood tale. But the chorus, I just think adds an extra dimension, and because it's in the middle of the album, and at that point we had heard of several songs that don't really have choruses, so it kind of, when I heard it, I just remember back in the day being like, oh yeah, they got a chorus, and oh yeah, I like it, and oh yeah, it's a cool song. And so for all those reasons, Liquor Store really just always stood out to me, and it just always, I enjoyed it because of all those things. And I think too, to get with what Mike Mosley and Sam Bostic were doing on the production side, which I think is great, is again, they're bringing different sonic layers, different sonic adventures and experiences to the songs. So even though both of them individually and collectively went on to do a lot of stuff and went on to have all these classic great songs, this shows you that even back in the Gas Chamber era, they were already showing you that they were able to try different things, explore different sounds, explore different song structures, do different things in a way that they were developing and growing even throughout the recording of Gas Chamber. So for me, Liquor Store is definitely one of them. And I just think it's just a cool song, just telling a little story. And it ties into, like with Black 6'4" and some of the other songs on Gas Chamber, it's a story. So, Sibo, I think, gets credit for being this super hardcore gangster dude, but I think we also have to understand this and appreciate and respect the fact that he's a good storyteller as well. And I don't think a lot of people, when they think of Sibo, they don't really look at that or consider that, but that's, to me, one of the hallmarks of his music, is that he tells a lot of interesting, gritty, crazy, wild street tales. So that's that. Anything you wanted to add on Liquor Store?
So Liquor Store, I was actually mixing it up with the track. I got it right here now that we're talking about it. But on the Autopsy, he has a chorus on here on one of the tracks where he says, "Oh no, Liquor Store." And then I was like, that's what I thought when you were talking. I was like, no, that's on the Autopsy. So peep that one out and then listen to the Autopsy again for the track I'm talking about. But yeah, good album, man.
Yes, Gas Chamber. So as always, hit us up in the comments section. Let us know what you guys think of what Amir and I had said. Let us know what your top 3 are, similarities, differences, and why you feel the way that you feel. Right down there in the comment section. While you're there, please subscribe if you haven't already. Also, join Unique Access as a member. As discussed, we have 3 different tiers, different ways you could support us, starting off at, $1.99 a month, which is, not much, but it helps us a lot because we got a lot of stuff going on, a lot of stuff we're working on bringing to you guys. So please comment, like, subscribe, share, join, all that stuff. Let us know what you guys think. And of course, if you haven't already, SIBO's in my book, The History of Gangster Rap. Pick up a copy anywhere books are sold. You could also get the audio book. So, all kinds of different ways to enjoy the history of gangster rap. I'm Soren Baker.
Amir, Rahimi.
The Great Debaters, y'all. And shout out to SIBO, Mike Mosley, Sam Bostic in particular for the Gas Chamber.
In the beginning, hip-hop was ruled by the East Coast. Then the West Coast rose to prominence thanks to gangster rap.
Straight out of Compton, crazy motherfucker named Ice Cube.
Hip-hop changed the world. Gangster rap changed the narrative.
I'm representing for the gangsters all across the world.
And then changed the world again.
Cause I'll come and take your life away.
The history of gangster rap features unheard stories, unseen photos and documents, all with exclusive interviews from the founders and players who shaped gangster rap.
I think a real gangster rapper has to scare you a little bit.
The history of gangster rap written by veteran rap journalist Soren Baker. In stores now.
Yo, what up? This is DJ Quick. Be sure to pick up my homeboy Soren Baker's book, The History of Gangster Rap, if you really want to know what we do.